So happy that I came across this video because just today I saw a live where they were asking like, do we have a grape culture in this country? But I just thought it was hilarious because to even ask that question is so flagrant. Watch this. Look at this. Like, what is this? What is this? Does grape culture exist? Does rape culture exist? That's a question that this person is asking. This is wild. It's a crazy idea to me that this is even a question, but we're gonna prove that grape culture exists. And we're gonna prove that it's not just in America. Oh, what the heck? What happened? Hold on, man. Hold on, man. All right, we got it together.
Woman did not receive any type of criminal record. We got to talk about what is happening in Belgium because a medical student that was convicted of SAing a woman did not receive any type of criminal record, all because the judge does not want to ruin his chances of becoming a gynecologist in the future. This was decided by a court in Leuven, Belgium, and the perpetrator is.
Does that not sound familiar? I feel like we've heard this story before and not in Belgium.
Is 24-year-old medical student Ruben van Stiphout. And as I said, not just any type of medical student, but a gynecology student.
What? A gynecologist? Jesus.
The SA occurred in November of 2023, and the judge decided not to pass sentence, which means that although found guilty of SA, the student will not have a criminal record or have to pay even a fine. He will also not have to serve a custodial sentence or have to abide by any probation conditions. The judge also had the audacity to say, it is undeniable that he crossed the line of what is acceptable, so why does he not have to suffer the consequences of his actions? But then, of course, the typical thing when 24-year-old grown men SA other women, he said he is still young. He's just a 24-year-old baby. And in 2023, when this occurred, he was only a 22-year-old baby. They don't know what they're doing, especially when they're men. 22-year-old men have no idea what they are doing.
So this is a good time to bring up raising the age of consent from 18 to 25. Because if 22-year-old men don't know what they're doing, I would also assume you got to feel the same way about women. Then why is the age of consent 18 in most places? Which I've been angling for that recently. Let's raise it up to 20. People say 21. I say, fuck it. Let's go 21. Let's go 21. Maybe not 25, but 21 for sure.
They're just children. But yeah, the SA took place on the 8th of November 2023. The victim went to a Halloween party with her friends. While she was at a bar frequented by students, the young woman suddenly lost consciousness of her surroundings. It is not clear whether or not she had been given substances. Last month, the lawyer told the court that she stumbled and was unable to stand up on her own 2 feet and needed support to prevent her from falling down. It was while she was in this state that the young woman met her attacker, aka Ruben. They don't like to say his name. Because that young 22-year-old toddler must be protected at any cost so he can become a gynecologist. He claims that she spoke to him first and asked him for the address of a night shop. He said that he then said that he would walk with her to the shop. They then went to his place where they had intercourse. He claims that all of this was consensual and that he asked her several times if she consented and that he had been given the impression that she did.
If she's stumbling, bumbling, fumbling around in the night, it's not consensual. And here's the thing about men. Men will plow a woman with drinks, like just like, yeah, drink up, right? In hopes that she gets to a state like this so that he can sleep with her. So any man that I know, any man that I see, any man that I hear of that wants to get women inebriated, to me is an untrustworthy man, just off the rip. Like if you're trying to get a woman drunk, you're just off the rip. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hey man, she want to get drunk, you buy the drinks. I'm not saying that. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying to men that you can tell, Like if you know, you know what I'm saying? Like the ones that are just like, man, we try to get her fucked up. We got to get a bottle and you know what I'm saying? Like I've never been that guy personally, but I know a good amount of men, pretty much. No, I won't say almost every man that I know, but I definitely know a lot of men that have done that and do the whole like, man, we got to get a bottle. The girls is coming. We got to get a bottle. We got to turn it. Like, I'm like, yeah, like I'm like, I mean, we can get one. Let's get one. Let's get some drinks. Like they want to drink. Cool. We get some, you know what I mean? Like it was always like that for me, but I was never on that. Like I had to get a girl drunk to like do something with me. That's sad, by the way. If you're a man and you feel like you have to get a woman drunk for her to like you at all, or for her to let down her guard around you, you're like, work on yourself. That's crazy. I couldn't imagine feeling like that. That's nuts.
However, the prosecution said that what happened was SA and that he had profited from the victim's drunken state to satisfy sexual desires. He claimed that he had protected the female student by taking her with him, but then he engaged in sexual acts with her. Oh, you see a drunk woman and you think the best way for me to protect her from other people is that I SA her? The prosecution had requested a 3-year suspended sentence. The defense requested that no sentence be passed, as this would result.
Wait, the prosecution wanted a 3-year suspended sentence? Even what? Excuse me, prosecutor?
The defense requested that no sentence be passed, as this would result in the accused having great difficulty in finding work in the medical profession, aka becoming a gynecologist, that will have unlimited access to women. In a summary, the judge said, it has been proven that sexual intercourse took place at a time that she was in a state that meant that she couldn't possibly consent to it. The offense is serious and unacceptable. Well, it seems to me that the judge has no issues accepting it and even, rewarding him for it. And also future perpetrators, because they now see that they can get away with it as long as they're good students. And as long as they're 22-year-old toddlers, apparently. The judge also said it is undeniable that he passed the line of what is permissible. That man showed a lack of respect for the victim's physical, psychological, and sexual boundaries. However, he is still young and has no.
However, everything that you said before the however is negated. It's as good as a but in this case. You can recognize all of that and then still say however.
Criminal record. Well, maybe because of judges like you, because he now will still not have a criminal record, even though he did commit a crime. He is also a talented and committed person, both in his professional and private life. By finding him guilty but not punishing him, he will be made to feel guilty, and the chance of him reoffending will be prevented without socially impairing the man.
So this is like when people say, there's nothing worse than the way that there's no punishment worse than my guilt eating me alive type shit. Oh my God, this is so triggering to listen to.
By the way, with the man, the judge did not mean Ruben. He meant Alvin, let's be clear. Pretend as if we are, condemning his actions, but we don't want men to have real life consequences for them. So the conviction will not appear on Ruben's criminal record.
The judge should be recused, by the way.
However, if he reoffends, he will be sentenced for this SA as well as for the new offense. Okay, so apparently you need to SA at least 2 women for there to be consequences. If you only SA 1, that means nothing.
The first one is a freebie. I thought we all knew that.
At all. Yeah, after all of this, the Leuven University Hospital suspends the gynecology student because he committed a crime, and maybe, just maybe, he should not be around women. The university gave a statement and they said, we have learned of this because of the press, and the student in question is currently training as a specialist in the field of gynecology. First and foremost, our thoughts go out to the victim. We will look at the court's ruling and examine how we will go on from there. In the meantime, as a precautionary measure, the doctor concerned has been suspended from duties at the hospital. One can only hope that they will have, more care for women, especially when they're deciding on somebody that wants to be a gynecologist, than the court will have, because this man should never work with women. He should never have the privilege to be a doctor that is responsible for the health and well-being of women.
So when men say stuff like, why didn't you come forward sooner, or why didn't she come forward at all, or whatever the case may be, exhibit A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever the fuck, but wherever we're at on the alphabet, but it's because of stuff like this. I wouldn't want to come forward either. I'm a man. I said this the other day. Somebody asked me, do I think if I was SA by a man, would I come forward? And I said, no, probably not. I don't think I would, to be honest with you. I really don't think I would, because what's going to happen? What's going to happen to him? And then more than likely, I'm just going to end up getting embarrassed and embarrassing my family. More than likely. And I'm a man. I'm a man. I'm not coming forward. Couldn't imagine a woman.
And Ruben should be known to everybody. He should not be protected, and he should definitely not be able to hide from his actions. Where are all the people who are saying that accusations will ruin a man's life? Conviction will not even give him a criminal record. The hospital only suspended him. They didn't kick him out. Maybe he will be able to continue to, work there. The judge has decided you need to at least SA 2 women for it to be even considered something important enough to be put on your criminal record. You have shown other perpetrators, as long as you are talented, apparently, as long as you are, intelligent when it comes to your field of study, as long as the people around you will just say, he is a nice guy, you can SA a woman without any type of consequences, even if you are convicted of it. There was no doubt that the crime had occurred. This was not the question. The crime was just not important enough in the eyes of the judge to sentence him to anything. His future and his, well-being, his youth was more important to this judge than the well-being of the victim.
I bet anything if he had like stolen money from like his rich friends or something like that, the judge would have locked him up for like 10 years.
The perpetrator was more important than the victim.
Basically, if he was like a Bernie Madoff, they would have locked him up.
And then you wonder why women won't come out and they won't, talk to the authorities. Why should they? They're either going to be treated as if they are the perpetrator, or even when the person is convicted of a crime, he will either get away with it or he will have to serve next to no time, maybe just probation. Because apparently 22-year-old men are little toddlers and little children. And you know what, judge, if you believe that, you should also believe that we should not be able to put men in any type of positions of power until they're at least 40. If they're all just toddlers until they're, middle-aged, they shouldn't be allowed to work. They shouldn't be allowed to have a bank account. They shouldn't be allowed to vote. They shouldn't be allowed to be in relationships. I mean, they're just toddlers, right?
I'm just reading this right here too. One of the comments says the judge's name is Kristen Musin. So it looks like a female judge, which should prove to everybody, because I talk about this often, about how as long as the system exists, as long as the patriarchal system exists, it doesn't matter who runs it. It doesn't matter who the face of it is or the players are in it. The system will always come out on top. Meaning, even if a woman is in a position of where she can do where she can like go against the patriarchy, oftentimes the women won't, because the system is bigger than the person. So, and the woman in that position knows that as well. So she'll buy into it. The same way a black person will go along with racist institutions and go along with racist policies. It's the same thing. It's like survival, right? And we can all be brainwashed, no matter what our race, no matter what our gender, no matter what our sex is. We can all be propagandized, and we can all be brainwashed into upholding these systems of oppression. That's all that means. It doesn't matter that it's a woman, to be honest with you. It doesn't blow my mind. I'm like, oh, it's a woman. Like, no, I can see a woman doing it. It doesn't, a woman doing it does not take away one bit from it being an example of how the patriarchy functions. It does not mean that, see, women do it too. Like, it has nothing to do with any of that. It is an indictment of the system itself. It just goes to show you it doesn't matter who's in the role, right? Who's in the seat. They're more than likely going to do this, do the bidding of said system. That's just the reality.
They shouldn't be allowed to own cars. They shouldn't be allowed to own anything. They are not allowed to have any type of property. They need to have a permanent guardian, a permanent female guardian, apparently, until they're middle-aged. This is what you are saying. Or do you only believe men are toddlers until they're middle-aged when it comes to SAing women, when it comes to having to take accountability for those actions? And you know what? I'm going to say it. I feel like this judge also needs to be looked into. If you think this way, you have something to hide and you're part of the problem. That's all I'm going to say. I can't even imagine how the victim feels. This is a slap in her face. Having to go through the most traumatic experience of your life, and then basically a judge telling you, yeah, it happened, but you're not important enough for it to, actually result in consequences, must be horrible.
That's it. That's it. That's the whole. And that's why when I see stuff like this, it really grinds my gears, because yes, rape culture exists. It exists all around the world. It doesn't only exist in America. It is a terrible, terrible thing. And you can see it at work at all times in our society. But this right here is the pinnacle of rape culture. Like this is what it looks like, like this is what the culture leads to, just so you know. So the two things that happened in here was the rape culture produced the man that raped. Number one. The rape culture also produced the judge that let the man go free. Number two. That's how the culture worked. So when you are in a society where when you're in a society that teaches you that women are second-class citizens, they don't have autonomy, and their bodies are not their own, right? Which is them not having autonomy, then you get these outcomes and you get these circumstances. That's exactly what it is, right? No matter, like I said, women also can buy into these things. So that it doesn't shock me that a woman let him go. I totally can see it happening. It might happen again tomorrow. Doesn't blow my mind at all. But the thing that does blow my mind is that we are still asking in 2025, is there a culture of rape? Like how many more examples of these do we need before we can understand and before we can actually start to combat it? This is how we need to start. We need to start having these tough conversations.
One thing I often do with the boys, it's like I say, it's like me walking up to you and saying, Byron, give me $10. And you go, well, no.
That's ex-police officer Brent Sanders describing how he talks about sexual coercion with adolescent males. He uses a $10 analogy that I quite like and, in fact, use in my own work with teenage boys. But also, I want to offer a critique. So if you're looking for ways to talk to young men about consent, this may be of interest to you. Let's begin with what he says in full.
I haven't committed a crime by asking for it. You certainly haven't committed a crime by saying, mate, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm good, thanks. No. And even if I come back and say, oh, come on, mate, look, I left my wallet in the car. I just want to go and grab a quick bite at the cat. Come on, just $10. And you go, look, no, mate, I'm sorry. I'm not going to give you $10. At this point here, we have an interaction where I'm asking for something. You're saying no. It's pretty clear. And if I walk away now, well, we're not racing around calling the police. But what if I don't? What if I keep pushing and I say, look, Byron, okay, tell you what, let's look at it this way. If you don't give me $10, I'm going to smack you in the face, saying your mother won't even recognize you. And you're going, oh, okay, mate. And you take, hands in the air, take the money.
I don't think that is how, that is how coercion works, I guess. Like if you like straight up threaten violence, but it doesn't, most times it's way more subtle than that. So yeah, I don't think we need to escalate straight to violence like that. I do get what he's saying. Don't get me wrong, but the reason why that we can't tell it in that way is because little boys and men will think, well, as long as I didn't threaten her, as long as I don't threaten her, then he did okay. When really we know coercion is way deeper than that and is multifaceted and it's way more subtle than this, way more subtle.
The money out and you give it to me. That's not consent.
No, of course not.
That's robbery.
As I said, I appreciate the analogy with $10 representing sexual activity and the whole thing intended to get young men to think more critically about consent. However, as you might have noticed, the dialogue goes from accepting no as an answer and then jumping right to threats of physical violence.
I've just threatened to rearrange the skeletal shape of your face if you don't give me $10.
While it doesn't surprise me that an analogy from an ex-cop would immediately escalate to violent threats, as this is also true of sexual violence research, with the majority of studies focusing only on forcible rape as opposed to other types of sexual victimization, I think it is important to add some nuance.
So if we translate that back,
that is a huge reason why when we talk about like coercion with men, they don't like a lot of men don't understand that it's SA. Like they think it's normal to ask a woman 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times for sex. They think that's being persistent, right? And then women sometimes they give in to that, and then the man in the man's mind he thinks, okay, well, if it wasn't, like, he might not ever think it was bad at all at that point, because he's like, she let me sleep with her, so it couldn't have been that bad. But when in reality, it always was that bad. right? Regardless of whatever the woman did or whatever the case may be, it was always bad. Like, you never should have done that.
Into a consent thing, an intimate, a consent thing down the back of a party on a Saturday night. Same principle.
Because when Sanders makes reference to the back of a party on a Saturday night, I feel compelled to point out that it's much more likely a man will use verbally coercive tactics like deception, such as lying to her about how much he loves her when he doesn't, and continual pressure, such as persistent requests for sex, rather than threatening to harm her physically if she doesn't have sex. In fact, the sexual strategies scale contains 22 items which measure aggressive sexual strategies that could be categorized into 5 groups: enticement, the use of authority or older age, verbally coercive tactics, incapacitation, and forceful tactics. Of course, threatening to harm her physically is on the list, but so are 21 other coercive strategies. And enticement has been found to be one of the most common strategies used, whereby men use nagging and persistent kissing and touching together to convince women to have sex.
Mm-hmm.
I say all of this because given that up to 20% of college men report using verbal sexual coercion to obtain sex from unwilling participants, and up to 60% of women report that they have at some point complied to unwanted sex as a result of past or current verbal sexual coercion, these tactics should be taken more seriously and could be emphasized in Sanders' analogy to make it more applicable to young people's lives. So here is an adapted version of this analogy. Say I ask my colleague for $10 and she says no. If I go, well, no worries, there is no moral, legal, or ethical issue. But if I come back to her and I say, please, please, please give me $10, I'm desperate, come on, please. And she says, no, I'm not giving you $10. So I say, but you gave me $10 last week. Why won't you give me $10 again today? She says, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give it to you. So I say, but you gave our other colleague $10. I thought we were closer than you and him. Why won't you give $10 to me? And she says, no, I'm not going to give you any money. Stop asking. It's becoming clear that I'm not taking no for an answer. I'm pressuring, guilt tripping, manipulating her. Maybe I even go further and I say, all right, well, you know that thing that you told me at the staff party? I'm going to tell the rest of our colleagues about that if you don't give me the $10.
Mm-hmm.
Or I might say, remember that photo of you that you asked me not to share?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to post it in the work group chat if you don't give me the $10. If at any point in this interaction she turns around and says, fine, here, just take the $10. It's pretty obviously
Here, huh? Some coochie.
Not enthusiastic consent.
It gets to a point where you can clearly see that you're now pushing beyond the point where this person's comfortable. And if they do change their mind, they haven't done it freely.
This is one way to expand Sanders' analogy to facilitate a conversation about sexual coercion with young people.
That I love that. These are the types of conversations we need to be having with young people and with older people, because older men don't really understand consent. And people say men do understand consent. They do. I mean, but they don't understand it when it comes to women, because they don't think women have autonomy. And they think that, and we've been trained, we've been socialized to believe that you have to ask a woman 19 times before she says yes, because women are just trained to say no the first 18 times. Like that's what men believe. So we definitely need to do a better job of teaching people, men and women, but mainly men. We definitely need to do better at teaching men what it looks like and how they actually have probably done it. Like, you can't tell me or do it, done it or do it. But when I was listening to that stuff, I'm like the language there, it's so normal. I don't know about I'm going to tell everybody or I'm going to post a picture. Like, I think that's extreme, but in most cases, it doesn't even go that far. It's you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just the man just like begging. And then she's finally like, here, huh? Like, that's crazy. That's not an enthusiastic yes. He's right. 100%. He's right. So bottom line, it's important that we start having these conversations and we stop having conversations like, is rape culture real? Like, rape culture is very real. Let's not waste any more time asking that question.